For those of you joining us in person, as we expect from our students and adults within indoor settings, everybody inside needs to be masked. Those who are not masked will be asking kindly either to find a mask. We have masks, I believe. Yes, Mr. Tawanda, that we can provide you, or we'll ask you kindly, respectfully to exit the boardroom, please. Thank you.
There's a mask in there.
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
re-adjourn the meeting at 7:58.
Thank you. Noted. Thank you, Mr. Polk. Okay, Flexi, maybe, will you stand? Reply to the right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Polk, will you lead us in the stability statement, please?
When conducting the district's business, we will strive to communicate clearly and concisely with respect for the time of others, listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others, understand the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors, understand and respect district policies and procedures, and maintain a respect for the rich history of the district and the efforts of those who have served in the past.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move on to 5A, public comments, recognition, and reports. Please submit a request to speak to the Board of Trustees card located at the exhibit table and agendize for non-agendized items to the superintendent prior to the meeting. No more than 3 minutes are allotted on any one speaker and no more than 20 on the same subject. This portion of the agenda is for comments, recognitions, and reports to the board, and it's not intended to be a question and answer period. If you have any questions for the board, please provide the board president with a written copy, and the minister will provide answers at a later date.
Yes, Ms. Jensen, we have 4 public comment cards. Here they are.
Mrs. Custom, do you want to address the board during the gathering point or now?
Can I do it now? Please?
Sure, absolutely. We'll go ahead and start with you. And I know you have to state the name, please. State the name, yes.
This is Tracy Costin. Can you hear me? Is it on? Okay. So, first of all, I wanted to thank Yolanda and Mr. Mirza for allowing me to take part in the Arts Council meeting from the district office. I do not have good internet where I live, and it was a very interactive meeting and program, so I really appreciate that I was allowed to come here for that. I also want to thank Yolanda for providing security today for the cross-country meet, because that was really important. We've got a lot going on, people driving around, and the kids, running where the cars are coming in, so that was really helpful today. Thank you so much. I also wanted to introduce myself as the new vice president for the PTSO. So I don't think anybody knows, I think it's not written anywhere. So I'm very excited about getting started working with the kids and the teachers again since COVID, and doing some stuff for them and supporting them because they deserve it. They work hard, and we need to figure out a way to do stuff for them. I'm not sure what's happening at Vasquez with the bathrooms. I heard that there's one bathroom for boys and one for girls open the whole time that they're in school. The lockers have been closed because they're not changing for PE. So heads up, cross-country practices every day after school. The girls need to change. The boys need to change. There's only 2 or 3 stalls per bathroom, so the girls have to wait for each other, and which is not a big deal, but the custodian is a little antsy with them. Tells them to hurry up, and she wants to clean that bathroom. Well, too bad. They don't say too bad, they're too nice, and they're not going to say that, but you got to figure that out. If they can't use the lockers, figure something out for these kids. Okay, and if you don't know, they are the top team right now. Girls, they're going to make it CIF, they're going to do very well. But nobody knows about cross country. Gaggle is on the agenda tonight. I think you're going to vote for it or not vote for it, or it's up for a vote. You know how I feel about it. I was really expecting a survey to the parents, or some kind of call or some kind of email saying, hey, we're thinking about doing this. It's a big deal. Okay, it is a big deal to have kids using the district email from your home and having a third party that we're supposed to trust has been vetted with this company looking at our kids' emails. I don't like it. So I thought there'd be a survey to see how other parents feel. I didn't see it. I'm concerned if this is really right for our district. We have PBIS. We have spent thousands of dollars on PBIS. I was in this room a few years ago with former Assistant Superintendent Dr. Cooper, and he explained PBIS, and he said that there were different layers to it, and one of the things you can do is track kids that might escalate into more serious problems. So I don't know why you would need that. So that's all I have time for. It seems that Mr. Falstaff, I don't appreciate your comments on the town council. You keep on making them at every meeting. They do a lot in this community. So for you to say that this is not right with the town council, you need to stop.
I'll let her go.
All right. Mrs. Johnson?
Carol, Mr. Johnson's my mother-in-law. Hi, I'm Carol Johnson. First, I want to applaud Dee for trying to stand firm on her commitment to hold tight to her beliefs regarding the masks. And then applaud her for taking into consideration the rest of us are here and excusing herself so that we could further go on with the meeting. Anyway, again, my name is Carol Johnson. I have 4 kids who went through this district. One is a college graduate who are currently attending colleges. And whatever successes, may I take my mask off? If I'm up here or not?
I think you need to leave it on.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay. Whatever successes that my kids will have, they'll have in spite of the fact that they went through all 3 schools in this district. That's sad. There's no real counseling at the high school. For the last a year and a half, my kids that were juniors at the time COVID hit, for a year and a half, they had absolutely no contact with anyone at the high school, except for their senior class advisor, who took the time to reach out to him. And COVID is not an excuse. COVID should have been more reason that our principal at that school and those counselors at that school or anyone at that school had time to reach out to those kids. Not one letter, not one email, nothing from our principal for a year and a half. That's shameful. My main reason, though, for speaking out tonight is actually regarding the athletics at the high school mainly. My question for you all is really just one question. Why is our district office making decisions and overriding decisions that have already been made at the high school level? We have an athletic director, we have a principal, we have at least one counselor that are making decisions. We have a nurse who is making decisions, yet our district office keeps overriding those decisions. 2 most recent incidences, in case you're not aware, one is regarding a quarantine issue where a student, the mom came in and threw a fit in the office, so they allowed that student to come back early. If that's the case, why wasn't the entire team notified that they could all come back early? And the second one, and this is very concerning, is in regards to the volleyball coach. We all know Linda Hudson has been coaching yours for years, and she has had multiple complaints brought against her multiple years. This goes back, sorry if I'm not supposed to mention names, sorry. A coach at the high school has had multiple complaints against her over multiple years, going back as far as 2012, as far as I know, probably more than that. And our district office keeps overriding the decision not to allow that coach to come back. And that shouldn't be. I'll leave on a positive note. I want to thank Miranda Tuxon. As a school board member, I know you're not out there as a school board member. You're out there as a parent. But thank you for being out there for our kids and doing something that's positive and productive and supportive of the kids at our school. We appreciate it. We all appreciate it. Even those who don't have kids at the school anymore. Thank you.
Tom Walter.
Thank you for letting me come and again tonight. My whole objective here is the comments that I'm hearing across the board in the community. They're now being presented to the Acton Town Council in various ways. Somehow people in the community know that the Acton Town Council works hard and they think somehow that perhaps we can help here. So I'm trying to be very respectful here tonight and present my questions. I haven't been here in 2 years. I've attended the last 3 meetings. I'm trying to get educated so that I can report back to my fellow town council members as to what I've learned. The last meeting that I was here, there was a parent here who was very upset. I believe his name was Matt Tebow. He was distraught. I am appalled to have now learned that Mr. Tebow did not get a phone call from you. Dr. Eric, I'm appalled. You saw the man, how upset he was. Obviously, there's a problem. He has a student that needs your attention. I don't know where else to address it except to you, so I'm trying to be respectful. I'm not addressing it to them. That's not their job. It's your job. My question is why? Why didn't we find out, and why did it stop? It's running around the community. What happened? I live here. I've been here for 32 years. I hear a lot. I was a business owner, owned 2 businesses in this town, so I know tons of people. I can't walk into the grocery store without somebody stopping me and asking me what's going on. It's part of the deal. I live in a small town, a rural community. The second thing is I also heard about the bathroom. A parent let me know that her son went to use the bathrooms, couldn't use them because there's kids in there vaping, and they seem to have control over the bathroom. That's ridiculous. If we've got kids vaping, why can't we set a place outside for them where they can go vape to their heart's content if that's what they want to do? There's no way. And that student, I was told, went to the nurse's office, politely asked to use the bathroom, and the nurse refused. That is unexcusable. Where in the heck was her common sense? And it's a male student. So I could see a girl going and saying, can I use the bathroom? But a male student, he had to go. He called his mom, had to come and get him so he could go use the bathroom. What are we talking about here? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get upset with you. I also want to understand the grant money that we have supposedly received for the COVID issues, okay? Is our parents involved in making decisions about where that COVID money is going? Or is that strictly your decision? I really want to understand that. If you can explain that to me, I would love to have a phone call from you or an appointment so that I can stand up at my town council meeting and address this issue. I also was told this week, and this was from a non-parent, who told me that there was a 13-page newsletter that only went to parents. Well, how are we, as the community that pays the property taxes here, supposed to learn out what our new superintendent is proposing for our community? How do we find that information? I don't know. I also know that there was a 5-year plan. That's how long ago, I'm sorry, that I was attending these meetings pretty regularly, and then my husband became terminally ill, so I kind of had to stop for a while. Do we have a 5-year plan, and is it in effect? I don't know. I won't talk about my other answer or my other questions because I'm out of time. I am going to respectfully ask the 5 board members here, each meeting that I was at, the last 3, there's been a negative comment made about the town council. Why? Can you explain that? It was said again tonight. It was said both times. Another town council member was called out about something that she did not even do. She was in Japan when that comment was made. I'm not here to fight you guys. I'm here to try to establish a relationship back with the school board that doesn't have a very good good reputation, whatever. I apologize. I'm just here to get educated. I'm not going away. I'm not going to watch bad things happen to a town that I've lived in longer than any one of you. And I was there when we needed to raise money for the junior high when there was no money for computers. I was there. I was the fundraiser for both of those. I was the chairman for both of those chili fiestas, and we raised $15,000. I've worked for 8 years on ASMO. I'm not going to walk away from this. So please answer our questions. And if it means that I need to come and talk to you privately, okay, tell me what you want me to do, and I'll be there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Barker?
Angie Martin. Good evening. I'm here to make a couple announcements about VHS PTSO. First, I would like to inform you that Tracy Costin was nominated and elected as Vice President by the President at the October 4th meeting. Please join me in congratulating Tracy. Looking back at my last 3 years as President of the organization, I would have to say that I am most fond of the 2019-2020 school year. As most members know, their service prior to this time included long days and late nights of prepping, setting up, and serving food at luncheons and appreciation events. Not to mention all that it takes to pull off a fundraising event like a fall festival. During those luncheons, I remember feeling really uncomfortable, like we were hovering around waiting for thank yous and hoping we could sneak in an unscheduled parent-teacher conference in between a sandwich and a brownie. But nobody should have to feel like they're living in a fishbowl while eating lunch. I remember thinking, PTSO should be way more than this. This should be about we, not me. What made that year different for me was that PTSO had matured to a point where our membership was able to take on an important role in the development of the district's strategic plan, an initiative of President Johnson. When there was a talk of top-heaviness, uncertain funding, and what level of service is being provided in the education of our kids to make sure they're ready for their futures, PTSO was there to provide the means to turn the talk positive and the attitude hopeful. Specifically, the PTSO initiative for the year was called Know Your District. We heard from district staff, the resident deputy, district administrators who would introduce themselves as regular people, tell us what they're responsible for professionally, and how that performance is going to be measured in outcomes. Through the Know Your District program, PTSO became an information source, an objective overseer, and a positive advocate for the efforts of the district in its mission to educate our kids. The high point of that year for me was the final guest, Dr. Cordova. He had attended VHS when it was a collection of trailer houses, then went out into the world to participate in collegiate level athletics, to earn a professional credential, and then return to service our own communities as a medical care provider. That year improved our ability to understand how the day-to-day work of our district staff and the community that supports them results in successful futures and a balanced adult life. I so appreciate the support of the executive board of PTSO and membership during that year, because while the organization was moving ahead in the support of the district, on April 25th, 2020, our family was faced with our own challenging setback that came with a serious injury and intensive recovery that involved many medical specialists like Dr. Cordova, who were seeing my youngest son on a daily or weekly basis. It was through this struggle that I actually experienced firsthand what we have been showcasing in the Know Your District monthly presentations. As district staff came forward to keep my son's education on track during the most difficult time of his young life. Then came COVID. Sometimes with setbacks, things tend to loop around and end up back where they started. So the time has come for me to move forward with my other service interests and for Tracy to move up. Tracy, congratulations on what has to be a record for the shortest service as Vice President of PTSO. I wish you luck in your presidency of the organization. And I have your president's folder right here for you. And I'll be dropping off the other truckload at VHS. That said, it's been my pleasure and privilege to support the district, its students, parents, staff, and administrators during my time at PTSF.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have someone that would like to speak. Alex, if you could unmute Cynthia Sanchez. You have it? Okay, yeah. Are you there, Ms. Sanchez? Ms. Sanchez, are you there? You might not have to unmute. Okay, maybe we can come back. Alex, do you want me to know what the is she on? Mrs. Sanchez, are you on? Pardon me?
She was on mute and she muted herself. Okay.
Send her a chat. Okay, we'll go on to the first item in the meeting. Okay.
Hi, am I able to turn on my camera?
Yeah, you're able to undo your camera. You can turn on your camera. You have to do it on your end. There's two.
Okay. Hi, I wasn't expecting to talk today, but I took the time to come to the district office and be a part of this community as I have two of my kids in the district. I'm just here to get more information just like everybody else. And I wasn't allowed to go in, obviously, because I choose not to wear my mask. And I'm also here to ask and see what's going to happen with the whole vaccination mandate. Like I said, I'm here just to get more information, and just like I'm choosing to not wear my mask because I also choose and I'm conscious of my health, and as everybody should be, I'm also here to see what that's going to look like with the vaccination mandates for our kids.
Thank you, Mrs. Sanchez. We'll have someone contact you. So recognitions and reports.
So moving to.
Yeah, recognitions and reports. Do you have recognitions this evening?
No.
How about reports?
No reports.
And Golden Spotlight?
In Golden Spotlight, we do. Ms. Nicole Chun, who was here previously attending the board meeting.
Just 1 second, then.
Please.
Would it be okay if we move this to the next month, since she's not here?
Sure.
Can we
Absolutely.
highlight Mrs. Chun when she's actually here? I think the board would like to make some comments. It was a high on her. She's not here because she had to leave and we were running late because of the situation. So I would ask if you could, yes.
I move that we, for this item to the next meeting.
Yes. We don't have the second, it doesn't require a vote. It's just public comments. So it does not require any kind of vote. But we're just going to move it to the next month so we can give Mrs. Chun the recognition that she deserves. So, so if you're okay with that, we'll
Absolutely, thank you.
go down to 6A to the out representative. Oh, hello. Thank you.
Good evening, Marilyn, Ellsworth, High Desert School, here to represent well, your teachers aren't too happy. Your teachers are exhausted. Your teachers feel unsupported by the district. And we want to be on the same team. We want you as a board to support the teachers. We would want to work together as a community to support the students. And I'm saying this for all students. I thought we were a unified district, but it seems like each of the schools are working in isolation. It does not feel unified. We as teachers are unified. We have come together, and I'm coming with reports from teachers from Meadowlark who are really frustrated, they are exhausted, and they feel like they need some leadership. They just came off of doing in-person parent-teacher conferences, which seems like it's in a direct conflict of what's being asked at the high school with all of the testing and students not being allowed to be on campus, which is what they're supposed to be following protocols. However, it seems like, again, the squeaky wheel gets what they want. And so we know that when parents come in and I'm a parent, I want my child in full too. However, if it's a mandate where they're not supposed to be in school, they're supposed to be quarantined, all students and teachers and staff must follow those protocols. So we need some direction to know from the district if there's a separate protocol for Meadowlark to High Desert to the high school, because that's how it feels when us teachers come together and they're sharing the words. We have teachers frustrated at the high school. They're exhausted. Those teachers are being asked to work their prep period and almost bullied to a point where they feel like if they don't do it, they're not a team player. And that is in direct, goes against Article 7, I believe, of our contract. We all are working extra hours. I can't tell you how many hours that every single teacher in this district is working. However, they want to do what's best for kids. That is our motto, right? That what's best for kids. And so with the past year and a half of being at home and distance learning, we are there, we want to make sure that the kids have the experiences that they missed out on. We want to make sure that they are able to participate in everything, even though our staff has been cut in half. So that means that everybody's on a committee, multiple committees. Everybody's doing what they need to do to be able to support. And the only complaints that I really heard were from the high school and the elementary school. As a staff, we support our principal. Even though a lot of people don't seem to, we hired this person, Mrs. Van Arnhem, as a principal. So hiring her, even though not everybody may have supported that decision, it was something that came from our district. And it feels like what I'm observing, that when she tries to make decisions, or we have made decisions as a leadership team, it's then another squeaky wheel or somebody that decides that it's going to be overridden. And so I would like you to put some faith into your principals that you have hired, that you have trusted to be our leaders, to let them make their decisions and let them lead us. Let them lead the teachers at the high school and let them lead the teachers at the elementary school. I only know what's happening on our campus, and I know that every teacher on that campus is behind her 100%. So whatever agendas are happening or things that are going on, we need to come together and decide if we're going to support our principals or undermine their decisions every step of the way. And I know that you guys have a tough job sitting there. I have never sat on a board. Okay? And I know that you are all there volunteering your time to, I think, do what's best for kids and to support this community. And so I hope that you hear me truly, because that's what you say, is that we hear you. But we really need to come together. And our principals need the support. If you are not going to give them the power to make the decisions, what are they there for? If they're going to be micromanaged every step of the way and undermined. And then they lose respect in the community from parents. Because it just takes a few squeaky wheels. And so just know that your teachers are tired. We are exhausted, but we're not giving up. So we are a very strong team of teachers. You have incredible people within this community that want to serve the kids. That's why they're there. And we want to work together to do that. But stop undermining the principals, please. Let them do their jobs. Let the teachers do their jobs. Respectfully, also, thank you for the CTE lab. That is amazing. And we're going to have that ribbon cutting ceremony. So I appreciate that. It's exciting to be able to bring that to the kids. And I want to make sure that you know that this is going to be something that's a positive. So I hope that you will all be there and that we can all come together and do what's best for kids.
Here. We have a CSEA representative. Okay, student representative. Very good.
Just from our board, there's just like a few things. Was it at the high school? A lot of the kids are back from quarantine. I know that almost half our school was gone due to was it exposure when most of them tested negative. So I'm glad to see them back because just being a student there, it was hard to see half the campus empty all the time. Was it football last game or sports? Well, just regarding sports. Was it our tennis team is doing very well from what I've heard. And coming up is our Spirit Week is next week, as we are having homecoming too, because some of the seniors weren't able to go to the last one. And our homecoming game will be next Friday here at Vasquez. Our cross-country team is
effective instruction and student connectedness. Student achievement, we have a special presentation by Antelope Valley College as a potential partner this evening with the district. Over the past several months, the ABC president, Mr. Ed Knudsen, and the interim dean of community projects and extended learning, Ms. Kathy Hart, and I have been finalizing a tentative proposal for dual enrollment opportunities at Vasquez High School. The topic, of course, again, is on the agenda this evening. The areas that we explored during our planning meetings included district responsibilities, as well as ABC's responsibilities, timelines, requirements for implementation, outreach and marketing of this opportunity for our high school students, and the possible classes to be taught at ABC. At Vasquez by ABC professors. Some of the examples that we discussed during our planning were some math, general elective courses, English general elective courses, music appreciation, and introduction to humanities.
I literally pressed record.
The overarching
No, you
goals
didn't.
of dual enrollment options for our Vasquez High School students is to better position them on how to best transfer to ABC or any community college of their choice education in LA County. The Arts Education Collective dedicates a staff person to supporting our district. The first collaborative meeting was held on October 6th. The collaborative is comprised of parents, students, staff, and community partners with a passion for the arts. During the 2021-22 academic year, the collaborative's goal is to develop an arts infrastructure strategic plan that will increase the quality, quantity, and equity of arts instruction in our schools starting in fall 2022. School districts in the Arts Collective that have a strategic plan for arts education and that have been formally adopted ultimately by the school board are eligible to apply for additional funding. Matching grants offer financial support to assist school districts to achieving key action items identified in that strategic plan for arts education. Thank you to Vasquez High School teachers that participated, community members, Acton's Women's Club, parents, as well as a Vasquez High School student as part of that collective. So thank you for your time on October 6th. More to come on that initiative. The next goal, student safety and connectedness. Recruitment for the Superintendent Student Advisory Council is underway to hear and to listen to the voices of our students, middle school and high school. The marketing flyer has been created and pushed out via the district's new quarterly newsletter, websites, and social media platforms. The purpose of this advisory is to create and implement goals through student input and the lens of our students in areas that might impact performance, safety, security, mental health, and other areas of concern. It is our district's very own coalition of high school students and middle school students. The aim is to develop initiatives and amplify student voices to create positive change in our schools, all schools. Ultimately, once we have a robust team of high school students and middle school students, we will have to take it down to Meadowlark and get our elementary students' perspective as well. Flyers up on the screen. Again, as I mentioned earlier, part of the newsletter and social media outreach. If anyone is interested, if you're out there and you're listening, Vasquez students and High Desert, please reach out to the email that's listed at the bottom of the flyer, my executive assistant, Mr. McCauley, and then we'll go ahead and get you connected. The next item is for all families, students, and community members and alumni. Mark your calendars for October 22nd, where our Mustangs will be playing Silver Valley High School for a rescheduled homecoming football game. Before the game begins, there will be a senior night to honor our senior football players. At halftime, Vasquez will have their homecoming floats and celebrate the senior homecoming court. We know many were saddened that some students couldn't attend the homecoming dance, so VHS wants to offer another opportunity to celebrate students and homecoming. On October 23rd, from 7 to 10 p.m., Vasquez will be hosting a homecoming 2.0 dance. The new theme voted in by students is Enchanted Forest. This dance will be mainly held outdoors, but will also offer students indoor seating options in the gym, where masks will be required at all times indoors. That concludes my superintendent's report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the COVID-19 report.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. At this time, with the COVID report, data pulled from LA County Department of Public Health, 742 new cases, again reported by LA County Department of Health for October 12th, as compared to 1,322 new cases reported for September 19th. The testing positivity rate, a 7-day average for the week of October 5th, is now decreased to 0.93% compared to the week of September 12th, which reported the rate at 1.73%. The percentage of individuals tested with a diagnostic COVID test since the week of October 5th comes in at 722,000 as compared to September 12th, which came in at a lower rate of 122,000. Within the span of these two weeks past, September 20th through October 4th. As a district, we had 5 students who had tested positive for COVID. I'd like to share with our community a single snapshot of the number of students that were on active quarantine due to possible exposure. One single snapshot, one day of attendance. On October 4th, we had 141 students out district-wide due to possible exposure. Again, I'd like to reiterate the importance of a self-check at home prior to students arriving on campus. Again, parents, caregivers, please look for symptoms such as cough, fever, shortness of breath. Again, if you believe your child may be experiencing any of these symptoms, please contact your school site for additional guidance and support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Jensen, there are no submissions.
Go ahead with board comments.
Thank you. Let's start with this. I need to be vilified in order for someone to put up a political platform a year from now. Go ahead and do that. I like that. I really do. I also like being pitted against the Acton Town Council because I'm going to explain to you what those comments really mean. And I think there are some people sophisticated enough in their understanding of how government works and who know me from being at the Acton Town Council when it comes time for it to be really important when it's behind vilifying people or walking up and creating some comment there and then going home and being paid to write an article, and in that same article, doing a self-fulfilling prophecy without explaining that you were the one making the comment. This is very amusing to me. So let's talk about the Acton Town Council. The Acton Town Council is not the same as the school board. The Acton Town Council works to represent this community as an advisory commission to Los Angeles County. Let me make something very clear to you. I went up into Northern California last Saturday. I drove up and back. If you don't think that the high-speed rail is real, it is very well represented to rural communities. A tunnel under my house, my well not working. The only buffer between Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors who have to look at huge voting blocks of 250,000 people and 5 or 10 people over here who work for free on the Acton Town Council is to develop relationships where we walk away without our wells not being flooded out. That's what the Acton Town Council does. There was something on the internet yesterday about somebody coming into the Acton Town Council meeting and disrupting it for an hour. They were the only one that can talk. But they don't have the same rules of order here.
That was Aadusd Meeting.
So let me finish.
Well, say it correctly.
Oh, I will. I will.
Aadusd Town.
I just tried to give you a compliment. Please take it. This is it right here. This is what we're doing now. Okay. Here we go.
School board meeting.
Here we go.
Call this to order. We're not going to be going back and forth.
Okay. So that said, the Acton Town Council is a group of volunteers that does not have State Board of Education looking over them, does not have all these governmental agencies with all these rules of governance. Okay, that is the difference. And when I talk about that, I have a great respect for the Acton Town Council because in spite of working between two huge voting blocks where people have very different interests, I still have my well, and there's not going to be a train running right behind my house so I can see it because of the Acton Town Council. Take that to the Acton Town Council. I can go on and on about things they've advocated for. There's no freeway running through here. There's all kinds of things that keep our life rural. That is what the Acton Town Council does. And I so appreciate that. I will not be villainized. Next. Someone mentioned the 5-year plan. I saw the 5-year plan. What it did was it took our secondary education and put it in the hands of Pathways Academy. If you do the paperwork on that, you will find out it was a charter run by 2 ex-employees. We've come a long ways now. I hope everyone heard that you are going to have this year the ability for our kids at VHS to have dual enrollment a college program. We're not routing the money out to somewhere else. We're going to have that this year. There are teachers here who helped set up that laboratory, so we're doing a ribbon cutting. That just didn't happen. There are things going ahead here. You want to talk about this COVID thing a little bit. I don't appreciate people who work for a governmental agency being told, especially firefighters and police officers, you don't get vaccinated, you will go home. You will lose your retirement. You will do all these things. Even though these people have been going out and saving people's lives, how many times over the past 2 years has the average firefighter gone out or a police officer and helped someone and they're not spreading COVID, but yet these are what's happening in employment areas. Do I like that? No. Do I like telling people in the audience we can't have this meeting? Does that mean that I disrespect them? I don't believe. You might not know what I really believe. Just I don't have the ability to say it here. I already pushed the envelope. But here's something that's very scary to me. Here's a headline from today. Some school union approved the agreement with the teachers union about the re-entry program. You know what it says? It says that the teachers union is making the decision about when kids wear masks, including outside, only when they're actually putting food in their mouth. And that this teachers union, not ours, but this teachers union has the ability, even when the state and the county relax the masking efforts, that they have the ability to overrule that and require the district to enforce masking policies regardless of whether they're relevant in the county or state. Do I really believe that the teachers union is doing that? I think the teachers union is being vilified in this situation. I will say this. I do not enforce the state patrol speed limit out on the freeway. I do not enforce California EPA rules about pollution. There's a lot of things that the state, I don't enforce those things at all. And so when you're going to sit up there and you're going to push mandates down to pit teachers unions against their own school boards and all this other thing, I'm not playing the game at all. Half our kids are out of a school at a time, all because of, I don't know why, they're just not there. So people are in between a rock and a hard place. Our kids have already come off of 2 years of disrupted learning, forget distance learning. So now every 2 weeks we get to go home again and there's continuing. Imagine if you are the counselor or you are the office help. Imagine if the school, I'm going to be careful here, if your school office were fully staffed and you had no illnesses there. Imagine that. And then all of a sudden in the middle of the day, in the middle of a learning environment, you got to send home 30 kids at once, and then everybody's highly critical, and the teachers are in the background trying to put packets together and figure out, you're here, you're an English learner, you're this, you're failing, you're doing great. How do you juggle all that? And then we got this being the big deal. I don't want this. I will tell the board this. Sometimes superintendents are required by law. Again, here's a difference. We are a governing body that's elected to take care of taxpayer funds. The superintendent has to put certain things on the agenda. So no superintendent wants to be the one that goes against the whole racehorse, especially if you're got those two huge voting blocks right flanking you. If the superintendent puts something on the agenda, what does it take to get action? Well, someone has to move it in. And someone has to second it. And if the superintendent puts something out there and the board president reads it and nobody moves it in, guess what? It dies on the vine. And that can happen and continue to happen until someone in Sacramento says, you guys over there, you're not drinking the Kool-Aid. So we're just going to have to cut your funding off. So when you see me walk out and you see me not moving things in, you'll understand I'm not talking about anything in particular. child has never said a word to you in their life. Never said daddy, never said mommy, none of that. You know what it's like to have a kid who has had just about every child in the school district had a classmate at one point or another and just never moves ahead. Think about that when we're complaining and vilifying people. I live that every day. And you know who I'm talking about, Mrs. Alfred. You've been there for both of my children. I'm exemplary. But something happened. Who hired Mrs. Plain? I hope so. Tammy has been triggered verbally her entire life so she can hear what you're saying. And she signs back. And it was such a war for me to get the technology, to get everything. And then here comes this Mrs. Plain out of nowhere. And Mrs. Plain has a daughter that I need to be really careful. But Mrs. Plain understands sign language to the point where she understands it like our teachers know how to reach different people. And she didn't talk to Tammy, she signed to Tammy. And we know Tammy was answering her fluently back. She's probably the first person in Tammy's entire career here that understands what Tammy is saying and then can furthermore say, she's not 4 years old, she's not 7 years old, here's where she is and here's how I reach her. We have success stories like that going on all the time in this district. Can we just look at that, please? Everybody knows I'm a jerk. Don't make that your news story. But somebody touched my kid in a way that no one else ever has. And if you look for the story, there's one for every kid in this district. Finally, Mrs. Martin, I think you should go see a doctor. I think you should have your head checked. That's probably the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Brianna.
Following that, I'm actually going to keep it short and sweet today. First, I want to say, I know I already said it to you, but I am so in awe of Jenny and the strides that she's done. That is absolutely incredible. As somebody that has worked in her classroom.
Time out. The breakthrough she had today would not have happened, for the last week would not have happened. So every tiny unnoticed breakthrough that happened with every person who has been her teacher the entire time in the school district. Put that in the newspaper. Thank you.
I'm going to cry. That is absolutely incredible. So huge congratulations to every single person that has had a hand in making that happen, because moments like that that's what we're here for. Thank you for sharing. I like to throw a shout out to different people every board meeting. So this board meeting, I really want to throw a shout out to our school office staffs, Dana and Brittany at Meadowlark, and one in Shiloh at High Desert, and Linnea and Sue at Vasquez. I personally know that job is not easy. They are the front lines when it comes to dealing with upset parents, with scared parents, parents that are not sure where to go or how to do it. They are the first line. They're the first line when a student comes in, either in trouble or hurt or not quite sure how to navigate different social, emotional things, anything. That school office staff sees every single student on their campus. And these 6 people that are in our office right now do it with so much love and care. I do know each one of them personally, and I know that they are so caring to all of our students and our parents and our staff are so lucky to have those ladies on our team. And I just want to give a huge shout out and tell them you guys are doing an amazing job, and thank you for doing everything that you do and caring as much as you care. We really appreciate you guys. Our sports community is doing fantastic. I read on Facebook about our cross-country girls. They are just awesome. I read about our high desert teams. I'm just really proud of them. I would love to see all of those huge accomplishments highlighted on more of our district Facebook page, Instagram, any of that. I'm actually not even sure how that somebody would go about doing that. So if there's any way that the district can put out, maybe put on our website or something, how I can't expect the people that run our social medias to just magically know what's going on, because they have full-time huge jobs to do as well. So if there's a way to connect those and get that out into the community where a coach or a parent can say, hey, I took this picture, and get more of our sports and things that our students are doing and things that are going on in our schools highlighted on our social media, and somehow let our community know how to make that connection without just expecting our district office staff to just magically know. I feel like people just assume that our district office staff or our school staff is all knowing, and they're not. We do have to help them out. We do have to be a team and work together in order to highlight our kiddos. And I feel like that's really important for them. So if we can somehow connect those dots, that would be awesome. And I'm definitely looking forward to football next week. Football is my favorite time of the year. Don't tell Coach Sparks, but baseball is baseball's number 2. Only because I do get to be involved in football, and it's so much fun. And I'm not there as a board member. I'm not there as an employee of, past employee. I'm there because I love it and I have a great time. It's a lot of fun. So I hope to see all of you guys out at the homecoming game. It's gonna be awesome. Angie, thank you for all of your hours upon hours, endless nights, and you are just amazing. You've been everywhere. You're so sweet all the time. You always have that smile. I can see it under your mask. Thank you for everything that you've given years and hours. You're just amazing, and you have done so much for our schools. Oh, don't cry. You guys, you have done amazing for our students and for our staff and for our families, and just know how much you are appreciated. And thank you. And we're definitely sad to see you give that title up, because you rocked it. And then Tracy, congratulations. I was going to say congratulations on your VP if you're still listening, but now congratulations on your presidency, and I hope to continue the greatness that Angie has passed down. So, congratulations. And that's all that I have.
Good evening. I'll start by addressing Mrs. Walter. First of all, you shouldn't apologize to anybody up here. You owe nobody an apology. We need to do, this district needs to do a better job at communicating with the community. In fact, we all hammered on Eric tonight regarding that fact that a lot of messages aren't getting out there. A lot of stuff that he's working on, a lot of stuff, good stuff that's happening in this district is not getting delivered. Why that is, I can't tell you that, but I can assure you that for about 30 minutes, he got an earful from a bunch of us. So I would expect that at some point you will see the change, hopefully sooner than later. And we want you to be informed. We want to get the good things about this district out. But one of the reasons why we went with Eric is because he has different ideas than what we've had. We, as a community, are kind of done with status quo. We're tired of the same old, same old. I don't want as a parent, the same kind of district that we had with the previous superintendent or the superintendent before that. So I'm going to lean really hard on him as we get going along. I'm giving him the benefit of time. He's not a magic man. He's only been here a short time. but it's growing. So the pressure is going to start growing because I'm starting to get the pressure from the outside community. The people aren't happy, and I get it. I understand it. Let's talk about COVID. I'm not happy about COVID. I'm not happy when there's 141 students that get sent home because they were exposed. What was the exposure? How close were they to that person? My son went home twice. 20 days of school missed because he was exposed. It's not okay. You know, my son will handle it, as we've always done, but I know his friends that didn't do well with it. They don't have the home support that my son does, and it's not okay. We have to start thinking outside the box slightly when it comes to COVID. Yes, we have protocols, we have mandates, we have guidelines that are given by the state and by the county, and we have to follow a bunch of it. It's the law. As much as I hate masks, as much as I'm an anti-vaxxer, you know, I still got vaccinated because I have to for my employer. I'm not going to throw my 23-year career down the drain because I don't want to take a shot. But I understand that's not for everybody. People have the right to choose what's best for their kids. People in this community have a choice as to whether their kids go to school or not go to school. My hope is that it doesn't come down from Sacramento and say that every kid has to be mandated to get the shot, period, end of story. I don't put a lot of faith in that because I know the state in which I reside. So, what do we do? You know, I don't have that answer for everybody here. It's frustrating. I'm not going to put myself in a legal battle and instruct Eric over here. It's okay. You can let those kids that aren't vaccinated come to school, or it's okay. You can let those kids not wear masks and go against what the mandate is or the guidelines that are set forth to him. I'm a law-abiding citizen, whether I agree with it or not. I'm still going to do what the law tells me to do. I'll get off that subject for now. Obviously, there's a bathroom issue at Vasquez. Came up twice tonight. We need to address it. We need to figure it out. Whatever it is, please look into it. Mrs. Alford, the best thing you said today was we need to come together. I've been saying that since, well, about a year ago. The problem in this town, and it's always been since I've been here, is them against us. The loud people, the squeaky people, they get what they want. They get the favors, they get to do this, they get to do that. And the people over here that don't make a bunch of noise, well, they get whatever's left over. I'm not here to show favoritism to anybody. I'm here to create an equal. I don't care what parent steps up in front of the mic and tells me that their star athlete is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't really care. Because the kid that's not the star athlete deserves just as much attention as the kid that is. So that's where my focus is. Ironically, those same loud parents, Angie, didn't like you. Don't know why. I don't know you. But I know a lot of people say a lot of good things about you. So I started to look at those people. Maybe they're the problem, and not so much certain people that are picked out. Maybe we need to come together. Maybe the people that are the loudest need to settle down and think about the common good for everyone, not just one person. We have asked Eric to implement his vision for our district. That means his instruction is what we're relying on. We're hoping that he implements new things because the same old is not working. It hasn't worked. And it's time to think of new ideas and it's time to think outside the box for everybody, whether it's a teacher, an administrator, a janitor, across the board, people, we need to update our way of thinking. The old way wasn't working. There are new ways to make things better, and those ideas need to come forth. We need to talk about them. We need to work through it, but it's not going to happen overnight. So I understand everybody's tired. I understand the teachers are working super hard. I understand there's a lot of great ideas out there that haven't been able to be implemented yet, but don't give up on those ideas. Let's keep bringing them forward. Let's keep talking about it. Let's do what's right for our kids and our students. And I think together, collectively, we can all be successful. I think we can make this the best district in the Antelope Valley and the Santa Cruz Valley, bar none. We're doing a lot of good things. He's implementing a lot of stuff that people just haven't seen yet because it hasn't been put out there the way it needs to be. Again, we chewed on him tonight. He's got chewed on from everybody out here. I mean, it's not been a good day for Mr. Eric over here. So don't give up faith. Let's come together and let's make this district the best it possibly can be. And I think it can be a really excellent place for our kids to come and learn. With that, I'll stop rambling and good luck, Tim.
Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to thank Ken for sharing about the communication skills of sign language can have just immeasurable impact on people. And it reminds me of back in 2001, 2000, I had a deaf student in my health class, and I'm going, how the heck am I going to do this? And he had hearing assistance, but he was legally deaf, and I saw him signing, and I said, Terry, I'm going to go learn sign. I went and bought a book, and I was doing my best for that whole semester. And I realized what an impact it makes on kids when you make an effort to communicate with them in a way that they've never heard before. Congratulations, and I think that's awesome. I was terrible at sign. Terry used to laugh at me all the time. He said, Coach, I didn't know if you didn't say that right, because he played football, and we're going to make this happen. And I see him now, and now he's an adult, and I see him driving downtown, and I wave to him, and I give him my eye. There's a few things I remember. I dropped all the profanity. I stick with all the happy stuff, you know. But it's just impactful that we have somebody on staff that will do that part that makes a difference with one student. And I know there's other students in that classroom that observe that and say, what's going on over there? And it's starting to make an impact. So congratulations, I'm really glad to hear that. I want to thank all the kids at Ellsworth. I was able to attend an award ceremony where they were awarded and recognized for getting their homework done, citizenship, and most improved. And I thought that was just awesome to see these young kids. And so congratulations to the staff over there for doing that, the kids taking the time to recognize these students at a very young age. When you work hard, we're going to recognize you. We're going to appreciate what you do, because that's going to carry on. So by the time they get up to high school and they're on soccer, tennis, whatever, they're in the choir, they're whatever, they already know what the hard work is going to entail. And the caveat on that was, I was sitting there and some adult was sitting behind me and they said, Coach. I turned around. Here was one of my former students who is a parent, and his kid was being recognized. And so we were sitting there chatting, and I'm going like, where have you been? I knew he went in the military, and now he's with LAPD. And he said, no, I moved back here because I want my kid to grow up here and to go to school here. And there was another student there, very much a trouble lady when she was in my class, but I said, oh my goodness. And she was there helping out with the parent-teacher organization. So I just was blown away that students will come back. We adults need to do what we can do to make sure that happens. So I was just blown away. So take a minute. Okay, so the Vasquez alumni, I was just like, they said, let's stay in touch. So we connected on Facebook, and all the coaches think this. And so it's that kind of thing that only happens in a small community.
doesn't happen in Hart High District. It doesn't happen in Antelope Valley to the scale of the impact that it does in our small community here. That's why I've been here for 18 years, and that's why I worked with best kids, and I never left until I finally retired. Anyway. But yeah, not that I'm here, but this is, I would rather be at the school than here, okay? So, COVID has been a challenge for everybody. There is not one person here. And we've all had impacted. We've had personal impacts. We've had professional impacts. We've had our students. We've had the students, the parents, the staff. Everybody's been impacted. And unfortunately, like what my colleagues have mentioned, that we have this quarantine thing that goes on where our student gets exposed. And then we go through the protocols, and it just kind of balloons. It's like dropping ink in water. It just spreads everywhere until you just dump the water out quick before we figure out, oh, it impacts everybody. But the adults in the room are the teachers and the representatives and our parents coming together so that kids are minimized in their impact about what they have to go through. There's a conversation. There's a responsibility. There's an understanding about what we're required to do, not what we chose to do, that we'll get through this together. And I always kind of analyze it in my football days. I tell my players, I said, get in the end zone. We made it to the red zone. We're on the 10-yard line, but now we start getting disrupted. We can't get in the end zone and score. That's what's going on here a little bit with us. We're getting this back and forth and back and forth. And the only people that are sacrificing are the students, because we can't do what we need to do as adults to communicate with them, to make sure that they're not feared and they're not scared about it, have fun with it, do whatever the conversation, whatever the grade level's appropriate. I'm not a parent, so I'm the ideal parent. I talk to every one of my students as though they're my own kids. When I had my football banquet, I said, they may be your sons and daughters, but they're my kids when I was coaching. That's how I address everything that I do on the sports for the kids. Now, there was a group of athletes that got caught up in this last quarantine, and we mentioned about 100, and that was our Lady Mustangs, our girls volleyball team. Because of the COVID, they lost their last 3 contests and had to cancel their season. And tonight would have been their senior night. And they missed 2 games plus tonight. They worked hard 4 years, 3 years, whatever it was on that volleyball team to represent our school in leagues, represent our high school, and they all worked hard. So I want to recognize some of our senior athletes that were supposed to be recognized tonight. And I've talked to Coach Hudson that she's going to be doing something special when they can open up and we can have their senior banquet where they can have a special one. The seniors I want to recognize are Valerie Romero, Stormy Roche, Emily Fluff, Maya Hurtado, and Randy Trussell. All 5 of those ladies worked hard. I watched them play. I'm an official for volleyball. I see them play all the time. I used to coach it, so I'm a little bit more critical. And I'm coaching from the sideline, and the coach, be quiet. And I'm still coaching from the sideline, giving them notes. And okay, they'll be quiet. But all of our seniors, fortunately, we had football lost a couple of games because of quarantine, but they were back. We're going to be able to have our homecoming and senior night where we can recognize these students overcoming the challenges academically, plus having the ability to have some athletic competition where they can let out some of the frustrations and they can get out there and get that physical, because athletics has a direct result and a direct connection to their academic success. We as a small district can do this because we care about our students, and I think we care more about our small group of students than some of the big districts that I've been around. Finally, Angie, we're withdrawing your resignation. I'm sorry, it's not going to work. It is not going to happen. I want to personally thank you. You came in after my time, but I saw your hard work and your enthusiasm, your smile, and your pleasure. And I want to personally thank you for preserving our Vasquez logo. When you did your recognition, I called you up and you said, "I had trouble." No, you understood the traditions and the legacy of the school. And as part of the parent-teacher organization, you made sure that that logo gets moved forward, that it's preserved and protected the hard work of the students. And the work you did with the parent, I know what TSO does for the staff over there. I was there. Your predecessors before you did a good job. You did an exceptional job. Thank you again for that. And I know Tracy will have, she's got some big shoes to fill, so I hope in that binder you gave her all your little trade secrets. You may want to share those. Okay, COVID sucks. Everybody knows that. And so your response is that, will we get money from the state to help us? Because they say, hey, you got to do all this stuff, but then they say, well, we don't, where's the money? We got to do it. So they do send from time to time, but we don't get a choice for that stuff. They tell us this is where it's going to be spent. So that's a no-brainer. We have an exceptional doctor back here that watches our money like a hawk. And he tells us, yes or no, here's where it's at, here's where it can go to help support our students to work ourselves through this COVID challenge. He does a great job of that under the leadership of Dr. Sahakian, and that's something we're very, very appreciative of here because that's keeping us in check. It's tough, it's challenging, everybody hates it, but we've got to do it because we're being told. We're not choosing to do this stuff. There's no choice here. The choice is probably, if there is a choice, is get it done tomorrow, okay? We only give him 24 hours to make sure, and then he turns to the doc back there and says, okay, I'll get it done. Okay, sites, Miss Alfred, I've known you for many, many years, and there is nobody on this board that appreciates all the work that the staff does. Mrs. Jensen's an educator from another school district. I'm from this district. And I sat out where you sat for a number of years. I was president of the association. I know the frustration that staff go through. But I keep pushing back. I said, you're the adults in the room. You're the ones that get to carry the ball through the 10 yards to the end zone. It's tough, but we certainly appreciate all the hard work that staff does. Maybe we don't say it often enough, and we don't send over enough odd things, but you have to understand that we are very appreciative of the hard work that you do. Now, that is not to say there are some staff that need to do more. I know that, and I think many people know that, so that when we have these quarantines, the staff here need to know where was that person sitting so that they know that everybody needs to collectively do their job. And if we all pitch in, it's tough. I'm not making any bones about it. It's hard. It's very, very challenging. And I think that we have the greatest opportunity for success because we have a finite small group of students, 900 around plus, that we all care more about than anybody in the world. You care about them. Principal Van Orman cares about them. Angie cares about them. Dr. Sahakian. Each one of these board members, parents and non-parents, we have 2 parents on the board that have 3 parents on the board that have kids. They're all looking out for the kids. So I want you to communicate back to Adam. I know many of them. There's lots of new ones that I don't know. They are appreciated. We get that they're tired. We're asking Dr. Zahakian to keep moving, keep moving. We're pushing him to keep moving. It takes time to put together the game plan. It's not like we can turn the switch on and do it. It doesn't work that way. Because we're not calling the shots. It's coming out of Sacramento or it's coming out of Waco. We do a lot of flexibility things here that we can do, that we can make things happen. But the creativity comes from the site. I agree with you 110%. But there are rules, there are guidelines that the site has to follow because they're telling us some people can't do, sometimes they can't do this, can't do it, can't do it. They're telling us what we can't do and not giving us the money when they tell us what they want us to do or that we have to do. So we have to be able to work through that. I understand that it's been like this for my whole time at the school. It was really exponentially bad back in the early 2000s. We had Meadow Life was a distinguished school, exceptional, permanent structure doing really well. We had High Desert, another permanent structure, shared some time with the high school, got, oh, what's going on over there? And then they all moved to trailer trash out. I was livid when I heard that. I was ASB advisor at the time, and I said, no, that's not a conversation we're going to have. This is not trailer trash out. So the student body began, and the parents and the volunteers and everybody in the community rallied around the high school. While we failed at multiple bond attempts, we still built a credible high school opportunity for our kids. From academic studies, we had colleges that we used to have College of the Canyons doing what now Dr. Sahakian is bringing back, with ABC. I'm through the roof. That's fabulous. So all of those things are connected. Principal Van Ornum over here has a significant challenge. She's been brought in at a time right at the end of a big chaos of the COVID. She knows all the staff over there. Her job is going to be challenging other than a new staff person not knowing anybody there at the site. Like we're in the process of throwing the position out at the high school. We have a principal over at Meadowlark that was new to the district, new to staff, so everybody's got to get together. But all the staff knows everybody. You're talking to everybody as a representative. They all know everybody. That's where we adults step up to the front of the plate. I'd like all adults to step up to the plate. I know that CSEA is stepping up to the plate. We've been hammering Dr. Zahakia, making sure that everybody in the district steps up to the plate, because the one that we're serving are the students. Not anybody on this board, not any one of our assistant superintendents or Dr. Zahakia. It's for the students. You know, I've seen you at the high desert for, hours and hours and hours. I spent hours and hours at high school. But we all know that there are staff that's full of stress of the COVID and everything I got to get out of. I want you to have break time. I need you to have that venting time. But we're at that crunch time where we got to get past this hump. This is going to be the toughest school year. This is going to be worse than last year. It is. It's going to be the toughest one that we have, but I want you to put out there that we're on the 10-yard line. We've got to get through the halftime coming up for the holidays. And by June, if we all work together and continue to work hard together and share ideas and create a positive discourse with our students and our staff, that I don't think that some district is overrunning the high school when it comes to decisions. In my mind, I'm asking questions because I'm seeing things that I think, what are they doing with that? What's going on over there? I see them. I can't say anything to them, but I can see it. When you see something, you say something. When you know something, you do something. And that's what I've given to all my students all my time, and I do that with Dr. Sahaki. He's very receptive. He's learning the ropes, as Chad has said. We're not giving him much of a leeway. It's pretty taut already. And he's doing a great job. So, folks, it's really tough. It's frustrating to beat all that. We're the easiest frustration because we sit back here and hear about it, and we talk about it, and we try to get things going. You're in the field. You're the leader of the people in the field. And you folks are the ones that we're relying on to get it done and read between the lines. Be creative. Think about how you manage your class. You do things in your class. Think about these principals can do things that stay within the guidelines and meet the student needs. And let the superintendent know, I'd really like to give this a try. It's the thing we're asking. We've given him guidelines about the new principal at the high school. I'll be honest. Don't bring somebody in here who is not willing to drive the shovel or push the broom. It's not going to work. That person needs to be able to get out there and get their hands dirty with the school and make it work. That's the way this district works. Michelle's been here long enough. She's broken enough fingernails. She knows what's going on. So she's under a lot of pressure because we're expecting her, we don't need to talk about this because you've been here, you know. You're representing Anna now, so you get to go back and let them know that we're very appreciative of everything that they do. Without a doubt, I think we have some of the best teachers in the country. I support them, but then if I see them doing something wrong, I'm going to walk up and make a loud comment that they can hear me because I can't talk to them direct. Hey, get back on focus, get back with the kids, stay on track. Thank you again for all your comments. Do not ever hesitate to not let us know what we're doing wrong or what we're, because we're going to continue to compliment you and everybody at the site, so make sure they know. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to make my comment short since it's getting late, but if you're an educator, you're exhausted. And if you're not working. That's what it is. Nobody signed up for this. When we went to teaching classes and we signed up for this job, nowhere did we ever see something like this coming to education, along with other things that are coming down the pipe and then we hear, and it's a lot. So we do appreciate our teachers. I am a teacher. I'll always say I'm a teacher. In fact, my union rep gave me a mask today who's giving out. I said, "Where's mine?" And he said, "Well, you're in the district office." I said, "I'm always a teacher." And I wear it proudly because I love teachers. I am a teacher. So please take it back to your members that we do appreciate everything you do. But I am going to address a comment about micromanaging. So I'm going to say this. He's gotten beat up tonight, but I'm going to say, wow, over a short amount of time, I think you have a lab that we're having a ribbon cutting. We just started a college course. That's a very short amount of time to do a lot of work. And I can tell you that because I understand all the stuff that has to happen to make something happen. You can't just pick up ABC's phone and ask them, "Hey, can we have some college courses?" Meeting, collaboration, discussion, legal pieces, credit, all of these things that have to happen for things to happen. And that's a lot. So when we talk about micromanaging, the superintendent's job is to run school from the district office. And if he chooses to say, "Hey, wait a second, we have to slow this up or slow it up or speed it up or no or yes or whatever it is," there's a reason. If we feel like that, then let's ask questions as to why. Because there's always a why. I work with a lot of leaders, and I don't know of any cabinet members, superintendents, and I'm not just saying the one I work for. I am on a committee that works with AXA, which is all of the AD. We meet all the time. I don't know anyone that's into micromanaging because we're all exhausted. We all have plenty to do. We're not out looking for more work to do, and micromanage people take work. So let's ask the questions of why things are happening. Sometimes there's a bigger bird's eye view of why something has to be slowed down, sped up, whatever it is. Let's ask questions before we just jump to conclusions that anyone's trying to take on somebody else's work or handle something. So I would just ask to be a little mindful of that and just ask some questions instead of perhaps just wondering if there's a little bit of that going on. I want to know, has there been any phone calls this week about the bathrooms? Were you aware before this evening? I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm going to.
That's okay.
It's been a rough night, so let's just keep going.
Why not? President Jensen, thank you for the question. And I'd like to clarify because this came up, and I appreciate the comments and the concern. So we know our kiddos, our students are very in tune with social media, and there are some TikTok challenges. It's a social media app that many adults and students gravitate towards, and there's some competitions that they are pushing through TikTok, and they're not really healthy in my opinion. So students, youth at your school sites, vandalize the bathrooms, damage, tear up, break down as much as you possibly can. Given that scenario, providing guidance and coaching and discussion, collaboration with the interim principal, Dr. Chamberlain at Vasquez High School, we wanted to really kind of get a real good control over the restroom situation, or restrooms in plural. And so there are some that were closed off, locked up, so that there could be heightened monitoring of who's coming in and who's going out, and so forth, so on. And sure enough, even Dr. Chamberlain recruited some students because they said, "Hey, these are our bathrooms, and we're going to be supporting you and watching and monitoring, and because this is our school, and we want to keep it safe, and we want to keep it clean, and we want it to be accessible to all students." So that's the why.
Thank you. So there's another why. And maybe it wasn't perfect for the young man that was discussed earlier. Maybe there was a why to that as well. But there's often a why of why something's happening. There's no one here trying to hurt people or upset people or anything like that. We're all here to do a job the best we can. And sometimes we don't make the right decision. Sometimes we don't have our why. We have our why. I have my why. I have my why every single day. It's to take care of children and give them the best dang education they can, whether I'm in Palmdale, Acton, wherever I am, that's my why. Does everybody know there's a TikTok challenge? Does everybody know that that's out there? It made national news. It was thousands of dollars of kids ripping stuff off, ruining bathrooms and toilets and everything else. So there's the why. So maybe we just need to ask a question or call up the district and say, hey, are you aware this is going on? And don't call the superintendent. This town calls the superintendent for everything. There is a way to command and way to go through the channels. If the bathrooms are closed at High Desert, you call the principal at High Desert or the office and ask, hey, why? Is there a why? We don't have to be upset with each other. We're all here to do the same thing, take care of our kids. So there's a why. Bathrooms were being vandalized and destroyed. And the students at that school asked for the help. And that was their thinking out of the box, how to solve the problem. So I appreciate that. On a great note, we did recognize our students at Metal Art this last October 1st. And here's another thing that people could maybe think that was something wrong, or the principal made a mistake. The principal gave out all the awards. One little girl didn't have the award. The principal felt horrible. The mother went home. Oh, a mom comes back. They had it paper clipped, and the other award was stuck to another little girl. The principal didn't forget the award. It got accidentally put with another paper clip. Principal runs and calls the mom. She comes back. We take a great picture of the student taking an award. And thank you, but you know what? To somebody's eye, that it could look like maybe the principal didn't do her job or forgot a child or doesn't have it together. It's a tough job. And if people think administrators' jobs are any easier, they're not, because you are always criticized for every little move you make. So to Michelle, boy, great math teacher, everybody loves her, and now you're a school administrator. And sometimes that's really hard because it's not a very, you always get the awards when you're the teacher and everybody loves you because you're doing great things, and then suddenly you have to make tough decisions, and people don't have the wire, the understanding, they don't ask the questions, so they get upset with people. So I appreciate everything that's happening with sports. I'm not happy when people come up to the microphone. They have freedom of speech, and so do I. And sit there and call out people by name. That's just not a very nice thing to do. And that is shameful that people will get up and use people's names and humiliate people or say things. Even if you don't like someone, let's just appreciate people for giving their time, their energy, their service, even if you don't like what they're doing. That's just horrifying to me that we would get up and just humiliate other people in our community. And then you get up there and say you're here for our community and you humiliate people in our community. That's just not okay. I think that we need to stop for a moment and think of all the great things. And I will say this until I'm blue in the face. If I had kids right now, they would be in these school districts. They would be right here, right now, in the Acton-Aqua Dulce School District. There's great things. We have great teachers. We have great administrators. We have great things going on. And if someone can't get into a restroom or there's not a restroom, please ask why. Instead of just assuming that a person that came out of retirement to help us out when our principal left would try to close restrooms and make students uncomfortable. For heaven's sakes, what are we doing here? And Ange, thank you so much. I'm going to tell you something that when it's not easy to be a board member and you come on and you're like, a horrible person because you're, heaven forbid, serving your community for free after you've worked all day. By the way, my day started at 7 a.m. I've been wearing a mask since 7 a.m. I'm not happy. And so, just because you're a board member, suddenly like you were just the black cloud of your own community that you're serving for free. By the way, you pay gas money to go serve for free and do all these things. You don't get a thank you. You just get people up here yelling at you or saying horrible things about you on Facebook. But it's okay. I'm a grown woman. I'm also an administrator, so I'm used to it. But I'm going to tell you something, Ange. When I would come to this an event, no different than any other woman going into something going, oh, do I have any friends? Is anyone going to say hi to me? Is anyone going to be nice to me? Not very many people are. You've always been nice. You've always been the friendly person. You've always been the one to come up and thank me. You've thanked me in text messages. You've reached out to me after board meeting and said that was really tough. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you. And I appreciate your positivity. But I appreciate the fact that you appreciate what we're trying to do, even when you don't agree with us. And for that, I thank you. And I'm sorry that you're no longer our president. I thought you did a great job. And thank you for the smiling face. I will still be looking for that friendly face when I show up to things, because sometimes people aren't very nice, but you always are, and I appreciate that. That's all I have this evening.
Madam President, can we add to the agenda that we reject her resignation?
I will second that motion. we do that, let's make a motion to go past 7 o'clock. I gave someone to make to name that in. 11 o'clock?
Well, yes, yeah.
Okay,
That way we're gonna-
call for the vote.
Alder, aye.
Brandon, Texoni, aye.
Kelly Jones, fine. All right, we're gonna go to, move into the consent agenda, 8A through E. Can I get someone to move that in, please? When you say move, get louder. I don't know what probably think it is.
Move.
Thank you. All right, let's call for the vote.
Hang on, I would like to, talk very briefly, with Dr. Adele.
Briefly, but I do have one comment that I didn't say that I wanted to put on the record.
Go ahead.
We do talk about what we're gonna do with our COVID money, and you did present the ESSER plan
Yes,
to our community.
yes.
So we have told our community what we're doing with that COVID fund. We did have surveys, we did meet with people, we did work with our groups to decide what to do with that COVID money. And it's called an ESSER plan. So I just wanted that to go on the record that that has been done. Thank you.
Okay, so I've been in the LA Times over the charter business that I'm about to talk about. I fully know the answer. Fully. I could give a college class on it. I can go to court for it. But here's my question, so the community understands. Why are there so many payouts to charters on this one register, Mr. Garza?
Okay, so we have about 12 charter schools, and the way that annual proportion taxes work for their annual taxes for these charter schools, since we're the oversight for all of them, LACO sends it all to us and assigns it to our district, and then throughout every month, they get a certain portion of it back paid out to them because it's their portion of their tax load. And that also gives us, so like in August, we'll give them 6%, September 12%. We have to just make sure that the total amount is the total amount for the year and doesn't exceed that. This also gives us an opportunity to collect our oversight fee from the portion of the tax, so that way at the end of the year, we're not billing them and we can get paid. There were issues in the past and collection.
Let me ask you this. It wasn't always tight in the past till I got here. Tell me this. If you were to hold on to their money for no reason, could that affect the education of children?
Yes.
Severely?
Yes.
Yes. If you were to not oversee them and you gave out the money, and there were special education related lawsuits that came, regardless of what was said in some meeting I won't talk about us being protected through an MOU that never existed, leading to hundreds of thousands of dollars of settlements in that little room back there where we're not supposed to be talking, that we chewed out Eric. I'll be the third one to break the Brown Act tonight, I think. If they ran up liabilities and you've given them all of their money, what incentive do they have to be legal in their practices if you're just handing out the money?
No, we should proper oversight before we do that.
God, I know it's expensive when we don't, because I know that. Thank you, I'm done.
One question I want to compliment you on. The reorganization of the district versus where you specify the amount that was our oversight, and then the balance is going to them. So it gives a little transparency to that, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, blame him for this. How much money did you make off of the charters this time around?
This time,
Imagine that, there we go.
Let's call for the vote.
Falls grab aye.
Brandon, Texoni, aye.
Tim Jordan.
Kelly Jones, fine. Vice Chair, thank you. Oh, sorry.
It was the plan.
Okay, now it's a 5-0 vote. Thank you so much.
Crank it up again.
You're just not fast enough, Travis. Okay, first, personnel, people services, 9H, personnel action item par. Can I get a motion to move this in?
I'll move this.
We have a second.
Call for the vote.
President Johnson, we do have an amendment. Forgive me for interrupting. We added to the part an assistant basketball coach at VHS. I want to get that in. Thank you.
That's correct. Thank you so much.
Okay, assistant basketball coach, for which level?
I'm gonna refer to Ms. Kim Shaw.
Is that the JV?
I thought it was JV.
It was JV basketball coach?
They, on the PR, they only put assistant basketball coach. They didn't specify JV or varsity.
Well, on here it says JV basketball coach, right?
Let's go with that, Paul's graph,
Because that's the assistant. Assistant to the boys basketball, it's JV boys basketball. But I think it says JV on my own agenda. Okay.
So,
Paul's graph,
Brandon Texani, aye.
Kim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's a 5-0. Thank you. And we have 90 substitute teacher rate increase. Dr. Sahaki.
Yes. So there is a proposal.
we move it
Oh,
in.
yeah, let's move it in, sorry.
I did.
Thank you. I'll second Dr. Sahaki.
Because of a substitute teacher shortage, not only for our district, but neighboring districts and within Southern California and the state. To be competitive, we're looking at a proposed increase for substitute teacher salary rate increase for at least for the semester, perhaps even for the remainder of the fiscal year.
I believe there's a shortage of substitutes across the nation. So, once again, when we talk about the why, sometimes when we have to do things and things like that, we don't want to assume that it's because of anything. It's just tough out there. So I think this is going to really help our district a lot. I'm going to be a substitute teacher, and I'm going to get in my increase. This is where I'm coming. So thank you. Let's call for the vote.
I have a comment. This does not qualify to have true public readings because it affects the district long-term budget in 3, 4, and 5 out years. No.
Yes, it does affect the budget.
Okay. So we don't have to sunshine this with 2 hearings before we do this.
Ms. Jensen, I know there were some comments and questions that were brought up by our community and some parents, and we do appreciate that. I just want to clarify and iterate that the Gaggle platform does not take a look at any personal accounts. For instance, if Vasquez student Johnny has a Yahoo account email and they're using the Chromebook that's issued by our district, Gaggle does not filter through their personal accounts. It does not look at content in its entirety. There are certain words that is a red flag and a trigger for Gaggle, such as suicide, harm, kill, gun, death, and that is a prompt that then triggers the site administrator as well as folks that are designated at the district office to intervene and support and to see whether or not there is an additional intervention that is needed just based on this alert. There isn't an option to turn off the Gaggle platform after school hours. I know that was brought up, and I want to respond to that. However, for parents that do not want this system in place on their district-issued Chromebook, there is an opt-out option. Again, I'm going to say there is an opt-out option. However, I do want to say that nationwide statistics show that 35% of egregious acts, such as suicide, happens after school hours. I do also want to mention that, again, it's not a promotion for Gaggle, but there are, Gaggle has contracts with over 1,500 school districts nationwide.
Any other comments?
Sorry, guys. I was the one asking questions. What is legal saying? The superintendent says we should do this, then we don't do it, and there's an incident.
If there's an incident and we don't do it, then the district then has the liability.
Okay, I'll cover that. This opting out thing, people can opt out. I would really like to know the national statistics, especially for parents, who will make a broad statement. Oh, I know what my child does. I know everything my child does. I find that kind of offensive because it basically says to everyone else, you don't know what your child does. You're an idiot parent. I'm an idiot parent. I still don't believe that. So if you want to opt out, that's great. In what taxpayer-funded world, how many of you work for the government? One. Tim, you worked for the government. Did you do whatever y'all wanted to do on government property? Send out any kind of email you wanted? No, of course you don't. So this is the government, this is taxpayer money here. I asked Tim, I didn't want to put Tim on the spot. We had a very unfortunate event years ago here. And I know that part of the settlement for that, the parents could have owned everyone's house in this district that they chose to encourage districts to be forward in the way they handle this type of thing. I think that would fit under that criteria. I know this is a wonderful campaign platform to jump up and make comments and make everybody look bad, but I want to share something with you. Again, I'm a newspaper man today. This is fresh out of the newspaper. Remember our friends from New Hall School District, the ones that sat out here and sued us for $500,000. We had another $430,000 in attorney fees. Everybody ran off, left us with that one. That's okay. We have it. $1 million. Parent files a lawsuit against New Hall School District for $1 million for a 5-year-old, 5th grader being bullied from the time he was in 2nd grade to the time he was in 5th grade. Now they drug his little brother in on it, 1st grader. So what happens when you get sued? When a public agency gets sued, you can't sue a public agency, but you can sue a public agency for dereliction of duty and improper conduct by one of the employees. Who do you think's being named here? How much is $1 million in school funding? You got 100 kids. You're taking the money for 100 kids and taking it for $1 million. This isn't even talking about the infirmary fees that are going to be spent. And the worst part about it is, a board like us will be called into a back room, and all of a sudden this gets dropped in your lap. You got people not reporting what's going on here. The case here says, the words and the things being done, all the kid would have to do is write in there and say, I'm being bullied at school and I'm afraid. Would you think those words would show up?
Bullied, afraid?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Do you think that in the greater law thing, because I kind of tend to follow that path, if you were notified of that, and your principal was notified of that, and you did nothing as described in here, who is culpable?
District.
So then you go back in the back room with us, and we decide, this is stuff you've never seen. That's why there's nothing to report. We're sitting back there, and somebody has to decide, are we going to defend this employee using district funds meant to educate children? Or are they indefensible? What happens when the school district bails out on you and decides not to cover you? Guess what? It's on you. You do this to my kid, I will own your car, I will own your house, I will own your clothes on your back, I will sell them at a yard sale. That's what this is about. And unfortunately, what happens here is the attorney for the school district will say, settle, settle, settle now. You don't want this in the newspaper. Oh my God, this crushes the reputation of the school district. And when they settle, guess what happens? You've got a precedent for what? A civil lawsuit. Then they start going after the employee. Y'all back there shaking your head, you know what I'm talking about. Then they come after you as a private person. They will own your house, they will own your car, you will be unemployable, all because you couldn't protect some little boy, and you were running up, us trying to do that up the flagpole to try to beat me in an election that I won't even run for. Yeah, I'm done.
Do I think this is the answer to all of our issues? I do not. Do I think this will help? If it helps one child, it is worth it. So that's where I'm at. If it helps one student, one family, pay it twice, pay it 3 times. It's worth it. A couple comments on the parents that don't want this. You can opt out. Will I be opting out as a parent? I won't, because I don't know what my kids are doing online all the time. I don't. I like to think I do. I like to be involved, but I don't know. And we're fooling ourselves if anybody in our entire district says they know what their kid is doing 100% of the time. If you don't. This is monitoring school emails only. School emails. If your child is doing something on a school email, just like if I'm doing something on my work email, my school district, I actually have 2 school emails. I have one as a board member and I have one in a district. They can see everything. And just because it's not being monitored by Gaggle, my emails can get pulled up at any time. If I'm going to do something wrong, I'm not going to do it on a school email. I'll tell you that right now. So if you are very concerned about your student's school email being monitored, talk to them about that and have them move to a personal email and do their stuff on a personal email. And that is your choice as a parent, because parents have that choice. You have the choice on how you want to talk to your children and which internet platforms and which emails you want your child to use. And that is nobody other